Hello again. My name's Peter Gurry, and this is 66 Times and the X-Ray, where we take a good hard look at the marketing technology and how it impacts the guts of your business. Today, we're going to be talking about Salesforce and the 2021 State of Marketing report. And we're going to take a good hard look at operational measurement and what it means for competitive advantage. To begin with, there's this statement: support your people and success will follow. It's a generally believed thing. There's a lot of dependencies on a statement such as that. And it's not always true. It's a simplistic concept. It's actually, you can bet on your people so long as you've invested in your people, so long as your people have what they need. And I think that's the most critical point. Your people will answer to you in kind. It's about understanding the nature of your people and expecting the outcomes of that. However, process innovation requires not only resourcing and funding, but a genuine understanding of what the potential is, because it is a very new concept. To invest as heavily in, say, the measurement of your operational efficiency, as well as your in-market success. So, an insight produced by Salesforce. Now, they have a continued understanding of where measurement is with respect to the average marketer. In this instance, they're asking what measurement has become real time, right? Okay, so measurement is obviously broken down into analysis, which is manual, and automated analysis or process-based reporting. The more meaningful is typically bespoke, but this is referring to the automated reporting within your business. 66% of marketers say they can measure campaign performance in real time. That doesn't really go into detail as to what they're measuring with respect to campaigns. There's a lot sitting above it. And the metrics that they're referring to are standard. They have been for 10 years or so. But that's not always true, depending on who you are. If you're a product-based business that has been heavily reliant on media, some of these metrics might look very different to you, and part of a cultural change where you are starting to look at your customer as opposed to your consumer. Now, in this, I see obvious advantage of being able to work at the change level. If you listen to some of my previous presentations, you will have heard me rabbit on about change versus innovation. At the change level, these make sense. In your campaign optimization, continual improvement, in your tactical marketing, these are particularly relevant. When we look at the mark at 64% saying they have measured attribution, which is also automated, that is reassuring. Now, 30% of marketers are still building out campaign measurement. That has a number of implications. It says near 40% of marketers are still struggling with foundation level capability, the very bare bones basics, which are the most efficient way to understand the success of what you're doing in order to communicate in business terms where the optimization priority is and where future funding may lie. Now, what is missing? The bit that's really important, and it's about marketing leadership. So a couple of seconds ago, I was banging on about the actual tactical quality of measurement and how it informs your optimization of campaign activity. But where are the measurements that guide marketing strategy? It's strategy at a number of levels, all the way up from your team structure, your resourcing, your investment in and your forecasting of what activities are going to affect your quarterly and annual bottom line and at what cost. So if I was to expect something that gave me an indicator of what I could expect when I change my team structure, when I ask them to work faster, smarter, what is it that I'm referring to? What baseline am I referring to? How am I, as a marketer, running my team as a business person, like a P&L that when you invest in the cost, you get an output. So now we have a clear area of improvement. What we don't see is the measurements, even amongst those that consider themselves mature, the measurements of operational efficiency, capability, adoption cycle frequency, and I'll explain that in a tick, and marketing ROI in general. Not just ROMI, return on marketing investment, which implies it's a cost of spend of acquisition or retention. It is more the cost of operating and the cost of spend with respect to success. Now, operational efficiency, where's the metric that says, with my team structure, I produce this at this rate and at this cost? And capability adoption, where's the metrics that say, when introducing something new, I typically take this time, and how do I improve on that time? And when looking at frequency, I look at my year and I state, I typically adopt new capability this many times a year, in which case I expect this type of lift that same cycle. So there is clearly a new type of measurement that is missing, and it should be as automated. It should be as visible. It should be as poured over as the in-market analysis, and it should be seen as a direct mirror. It's a mirror of what you can expect in market, you can see in your team. Now, again, here are my takeaways. Measure the in-market and the in-business. So that's a very simple, kind of catchy thing. It should be very obvious. But in this is a kicker. It's not enough to just measure the in-market, and it's not just enough to measure the in-business, so how those metrics that I was referring to before. But the usefulness comes in their attachment to each other, the relationships, when cause and effect are actually observed. So takeaway number one doesn't remain conceptual in the business. Takeaway number two makes it actionable. The measurement of your operation and your vision is essential. Now, I always like to look at creating metrics and KPIs around the frequency to enhance or change your customer experience from whatever channel, whatever the change, but the frequency to make that change, and its relative operational metric, which is the time it takes to plan, the time it takes your team to adopt the processes associated with that change. Now, these are two sets of metrics or measurements, one relating to the customer experience, the other relating to the operational efficiency of that task. So, a lovely little analogy. Everyone loves an analogy, and I'm addicted to them. This one is with respect to the harmony of a system. Now, over to the left, you see a very comfortable and known universe of measurement, right? The effectiveness of our CX and marketing activity. These are near mature. As we discussed, all bar 36% of marketers cite that they've got that to near automation at the campaign level. And those others, I dare say, have it as an extremely high priority. But what's been missing is what directly affects that, affects the cost and the ability to change that is this other part of the world, the operational part of the world, the UX, if you will, with respect to your team's user experience of its systems, user experience of its processes, and how it relates to the complexity, the velocity, the quality, and the cost of your marketing machine. Now, when we lay my previous presentation on top of this, you see this cycle. So one, we've got this CX view of the world. One, we've got this UX operational view of the world. But they have to change in sync. Now, at some point, there's an innovation, more likely to be innovation on the way you work, and that ultimately gives you the ability to change. the ability to make your CX changes at a regular rate, at a minimized cost, or at least at a controlled cost. So your innovations, as I said at the beginning, are most likely going to be at this operational end. Your changes are still going to be at this tactical end, but it requires the two to work together. Then you actually are starting to kick some goals with respect to IP that's associated with strategic advantage. Most marketers look at just the CX and marketing effectiveness. They don't look at dashboards associated with anything else, this larger ecosystem. And when you look at this ecosystem, when you have the left wing, when you have the right wing, you actually have a butterfly that is able to fly. Now, I hope you found that useful. This brings me to the end of my presentation today. I'm Peter Gurry. This is 66 Times and the X-Ray series. I look forward to seeing you again soon.